The cold autumn rain hammered against the basement window, each drop echoing through the hollow space like tiny hammers driving into my chest. I stood there, frozen among the cardboard boxes stacked against the concrete walls, my weathered hands trembling as they held a small wooden toy truck. Daniel's toy truck. The one I'd carved for him when he was 5. The one he'd carried everywhere until the wood was smooth and warm from his small fingers. Now it was just cold. Everything was cold. I hadn't been down here in months. Couldn't bear it. But today, on what would have been his 40th birthday, something pulled me down those creaky stairs. Maybe it was grief. Maybe it was guilt. Or maybe it was just an old man's desperate need to feel close to his son one more time. 5 years. 5 long years since that October morning when I got the call from Sarah, my daughter-in-law. Her voice was shaking so badly I could hardly understand her. "Dad, Daniel didn't come home last night. His car. They found his car by the Columbia River. Empty. The doors were open. His phone was on the seat. But Daniel..." She broke down then, and I remember how my own knees buckled, how I had to grab the kitchen counter to keep from falling. My name is Robert Peterson. I'm 68 years old now. Most of that number feels like it got added in the last 5 years. I spent 35 years as a quality control engineer at Boeing, raised my son in a modest house in Tacoma, and thought I knew what hardship was. I was wrong. Nothing prepares you for losing a child. Nothing. Daniel was my only son, smart as a whip, just like his mother. Got a full scholarship to the University of Washington, studied computer science, graduated top of his class, landed a job at a software company in Portland, doing something with cybersecurity that I never quite understood but was proud of anyway. He married Sarah when he was 28. She was a kindergarten teacher, sweet girl with a laugh that could light up a room. They had 2 kids, Lily and Jake. 8 and 6 years old now, though Lily was only 3 and Jake was barely 1 when their father disappeared. The police searched for weeks, dragged the river, checked security cameras, interviewed everyone Daniel knew. They found nothing. No body. No leads. Just theories. Some thought he'd jumped. Some thought he'd been murdered. Some thought he'd just left, walked away from his life. I never believed that last one. Not my Daniel. He loved his family too much. But Sarah believed it, eventually. After 2 years of no answers, she had to move on. She took the kids back to her parents in Spokane. I helped as much as I could, financially. The insurance money came through, eventually, once they declared Daniel legally dead. But money doesn't fill the hole in a child's heart where their father should be. My wife, Margaret, she couldn't handle it. The not knowing ate her alive from the inside out. She stopped eating, stopped sleeping. The doctors said it was depression, gave her pills that didn't help. 2 years ago, almost to the day, I found her in our bedroom. Heart attack, they said. But I knew better. Margaret died of a broken heart. She died because our son was gone and she couldn't find a reason to keep going. So now, it was just me. Alone in a house that was too big, with too many memories. I'd sold most of the furniture. Couldn't stand to look at Margaret's reading chair by the window or the dining room table where we'd had so many family dinners. I kept one bedroom, the kitchen, and the living room with my recliner and the TV. The rest of the house was just empty. I tried to keep busy. Volunteered 3 days a week at the Tacoma Community Center, helping seniors with their computer problems. Ironic, I guess. My son was the computer genius, and here I was, teaching 70-year-olds how to use email. But it got me out of the house, gave me a reason to shower and put on clean clothes, gave me people to talk to who didn't look at me with pity in their eyes. It was a Thursday in late September when everything changed. I was at the center helping Mrs. Chen set up her Facebook account so she could see pictures of her grandkids in California when Denise from the front desk came over. "Mr. Peterson, there's someone here to see you. Says it's urgent." I frowned. Nobody came to see me anymore. My brother Richard and I hadn't spoken in years, not since he borrowed $15,000 and never paid it back. My old friends from Boeing had slowly drifted away, uncomfortable with my grief. "Who is it?" He wouldn't say. Just said he needs to speak with you privately. "About your son." My heart stopped. "About Daniel? After 5 years?" I followed Denise to the lobby, my mind racing. Police with new evidence? A reporter digging up old cases? Some kind of scam artist? The man standing by the door wasn't what I expected. He was tall, maybe 40, with dark hair going gray at the temples. Expensive suit, the kind you see on lawyers or business executives. He was standing next to a black Mercedes with tinted windows parked right in front of the center. "Mr. Peterson?" He extended his hand. "My name is Thomas Chen. I was a friend of Daniel's from MIT. I shook his hand automatically, my mind spinning. Daniel went to UW, not MIT. I think you have the wrong person. My son didn't go to MIT. I know. We met at a conference 7 years ago. Cybersecurity Symposium in Boston." Thomas glanced around the parking lot, looking nervous. "Mr. Peterson, I need you to come with me. Please. It's about Daniel." "What about him?" I felt my chest tighten. Did they find his body? Thomas looked me straight in the eye, and I saw something there that made my breath catch. Hope. Actual hope. "No, sir. They didn't find his body because there is no body. Daniel is alive. He's been alive this whole time, and he needs your help." The world tilted. I grabbed the door frame to steady myself. That's not funny. That's not a funny thing to say to someone who... "I'm not joking, Mr. Peterson. I swear to you, I'm not joking. Daniel is alive. He's been living in Vancouver under an assumed name for the past 5 years. He's safe, but he's in trouble. And he needs your help. Please, get in the car. I'll explain everything. I should have walked away. Should have gone back inside, called the police, reported this lunatic who was trying to play with an old man's grief. But something in his eyes stopped me. Something that looked like truth. "If this is some kind of sick joke," I said quietly, "if you're lying to me about my son, I will make you regret it. I understand. But I'm not lying. Please, Mr. Peterson. We don't have much time." I got in the car. Thomas drove us to a high-rise office building in downtown Seattle, about 40 minutes from Tacoma. Didn't say much during the drive, just that he needed to show me something. My hands were shaking the whole way. I kept thinking about Margaret. God, if she'd known Daniel was alive, if she'd just held on a little longer. We took an elevator to the 15th floor. Thomas led me to a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Elliott Bay. There was a desk with 2 computer monitors, a leather couch, and a small table with a manila folder on it. "Sit down, please," Thomas said, gesturing to the couch. He pulled a chair over and sat across from me, the table between us. "Mr. Peterson, what I'm about to tell you is going to sound crazy, but I need you to hear me out. Can you do that?" I nodded, not trusting my voice. Thomas opened the folder and pulled out a photograph. This was taken 3 weeks ago in Vancouver. My heart stopped. It was Daniel, older, thinner, with a beard and longer hair than he used to wear, but it was definitely my son. He was sitting at an outdoor cafe, wearing a blue jacket, holding a coffee cup. He looked tired, but he was alive. He was alive. "Oh my God," I whispered. My hands reached for the photo, trembling. "Oh my God. Daniel, there's more." Thomas pulled out more photos. Daniel at a grocery store. Daniel walking down a street. Daniel sitting on a bench in a park. All recent. All real. He's been living in Vancouver under the name David Mitchell. He works as a freelance IT consultant. He's been careful, very careful. I don't understand. I looked up at Thomas, tears streaming down my face. Why? Why would he do this? Why would he let us think he was dead? His mother, his wife, his children. Why? Thomas pulled out another document. Because of this. It was a bank statement. My brother Richard's name was at the top, but the numbers didn't make sense. Transfers. Large transfers. Millions of dollars moving in and out of accounts I didn't recognize. 5 years ago, Thomas said quietly, Daniel was working on a cybersecurity audit for his company. They'd been hired to check the security systems for a manufacturing firm in Portland. Your brother Richard was the CFO of that company. My stomach dropped. Richard? Daniel found something. Irregularities in the accounts. Money disappearing. He started digging, quietly, thinking it was just sloppy bookkeeping. But the deeper he dug, the worse it got. Your brother had been embezzling money from the company for years. Over $15 million. And he wasn't working alone. He had partners. Dangerous partners. That's impossible. Richard is. He's not. But even as I said it, I knew it wasn't impossible. Richard had always been the one who cut corners, who thought rules were for other people, the one who'd borrowed money from me and never paid it back because family doesn't keep score, the one who'd been furious when our father left the house to me instead of splitting it between us. Daniel confronted him, Thomas continued, tried to give him a chance to come clean, to return the money, to make it right, for your sake, because you're his uncle. But Richard, Thomas's jaw tightened. Richard threatened him. Told him if he went to the authorities, if he told anyone, his family would be hurt. Specifically, Sarah, Lily, baby Jake, and you. I felt sick. No, Richard wouldn't. He would, Mr. Peterson. And he meant it. The people he was working with, they weren't just white-collar criminals. They had mob connections, Russian mafia. These were people who made problems disappear, permanently. So Daniel. I couldn't finish the sentence. So Daniel disappeared. Staged his own death. Made it look like a suicide. Made sure there was no body to find. Left everything behind to keep his family safe. I helped him. I have. Resources. Connections. I got him to Vancouver, set him up with a new identity, made sure the trail went cold. Why didn't he tell me? The words came out as a sob. Why didn't he trust me? Because you're a good man, Mr. Peterson. Because you would have gone to Richard. You would have tried to fix it, to make peace, to help your brother. And that would have gotten you killed. Would have gotten all of you killed. Daniel couldn't risk it, he thought. He thought this was the only way. I sat there, the photos of my son in my shaking hands, and felt 5 years of grief transform into something else. Anger. Cold, hard anger. Where is Richard now? Still in Portland. Still at the same company. Still embezzling. He thinks he got away with it. Thinks Daniel is dead and the secret died with him. And Daniel's been hiding in Vancouver all this time. Alone. Away from his children. Away from his wife. Away from his mother. My voice broke. His mother died thinking her son was dead. Thomas. She died of a broken heart. I know. Daniel knows. It's been killing him. But he couldn't risk coming back. Not without evidence. Not without a way to make sure Richard and his people could never threaten his family again. I looked at Thomas. Why now? Why are you telling me this now? Because we found a way. Daniel kept copies of everything. All the financial records, all the evidence of the embezzlement. Everything. He hid it before he disappeared. But it's not enough on its own. We need more. We need to catch Richard in the act. And we need your help to do it. What do you need me to do? Thomas leaned forward. We need you to talk to Richard. Tell him you found something of Daniel's. Some kind of evidence. A hard drive, maybe. Or documents. Tell him Daniel must have been investigating him before he died. Make him panic. Make him think the evidence is about to surface. He'll try to buy it from you or destroy it or something. And when he does, we'll have him. You want me to bait my own brother. I want you to help catch a criminal who stole $15 million, threatened to kill your son's family, and forced your son to fake his death and abandon everyone he loved. Yes. I looked at the photos again. Daniel at the cafe. Daniel walking down the street, living a half-life in a foreign city, alone, cut off from everyone he loved. Because of Richard. Because my brother chose money over family. When do we start? It took 2 weeks to set everything up. Thomas worked with some FBI contacts he had, people who'd been investigating the company for other reasons and were thrilled to have a new lead. They set up surveillance, wiretaps, the whole works. I called Richard. Hadn't spoken to him in 4 years, not since the last time he'd asked for money, and I'd said no. He sounded surprised to hear from me. Bobby? That you? Nobody but Richard called me Bobby. I'd always hated it. Yeah, it's me. Well, damn. Long time. How you been? I've been better. Listen, Richard, I need to talk to you about something. About Daniel. There was a pause. Daniel? Bobby, your kid's been dead for 5 years. What about him? I was cleaning out the basement, found some stuff of his. Computer equipment, a hard drive. It had a label on it. Said Portland Audit, private copy. Does that mean anything to you? The silence on the other end of the line lasted too long. Can't say it does. What's on it? I don't know. Haven't looked. Figured it was just work stuff. But I thought, since you're in business up there in Portland, maybe you'd know if it was important, if his old company might want it back. Yeah, maybe. You still at the old house in Tacoma? Yeah. I'll come by. Tomorrow. We can take a look at it together. You know, for old time's sake. He showed up the next afternoon in a BMW, expensive suit, gold watch, all that embezzled money looking real nice on him. The FBI van was parked 3 houses down, disguised as a cable company truck. I had a wire taped to my chest under my shirt. Bobby! Richard came in with a big smile and a hug I didn't return. He looked good, healthy, like a man without a care in the world. Not like a man whose actions had destroyed his nephew's life and killed his sister-in-law. Good to see you, brother. It's been too long. Yeah. I led him to the kitchen table where I'd set up Daniel's old laptop and a blank external hard drive. Here it is. Found it in a box of his old stuff. Richard sat down, and I watched his eyes. Watched them flick to the hard drive, then to me, then back to the drive. Mind if I take a look? Go ahead. He plugged it in, opened some files. I'd worked with Thomas to put together a convincing fake, just enough financial records to look like Daniel had been investigating something without showing the full extent of what we knew. Richard's face went pale as he clicked through the files. Bobby, where exactly did you find this? I told you. Basement. Why? These files. Bobby, these are confidential company records. Daniel shouldn't have had these. Do you know what this means? Means he was doing his job, I guess. That's what they paid him for, right? Security audits? Richard closed the laptop. Bobby, I need this hard drive. It's got sensitive information. Could be a legal liability for the company if it gets out. So take it. I don't need it. I'll give you money for it. $10,000. That's more than fair. I frowned. Why would you pay me for something you could just have? It's just old work files. Because I want to make sure this is handled properly, through proper channels. Tell you what, let me take it to our legal department. Make sure we're not violating any NDAs Daniel signed. I'll get it back to you. Sure. But like I said, you don't need to pay me. It's just $20,000. Richard's voice was sharp now. $20,000, Bobby. Cash. I'll have it for you tomorrow. Richard, what's on that drive that's worth $20,000? His eyes went hard. Bobby, you've been through a lot. You lost your son, your wife. You're all alone in this big house. $20,000 could make your life easier. Take a vacation. Fix up the place. Whatever you want. Just let me have the drive and forget you ever found it. And if I don't, Richard leaned back in his chair. Then I'd say, you're making a mistake. A big mistake. Daniel made a mistake too, poking his nose where it didn't belong. Look where that got him. My blood ran cold. What did you just say? I'm just saying, Bobby. Sometimes it's better to let sleeping dogs lie. For everyone's safety. That's when they came in. FBI agents, 3 of them, guns drawn. Richard Peterson, you're under arrest for embezzlement, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit murder. Richard jumped up, his chair falling backward. What? Bobby, what is this? This is you going to prison, I said quietly. For what you did to my son. For what you did to my family. I didn't do anything. Daniel killed himself. Everyone knows that. Except Daniel didn't kill himself. Thomas walked in from the living room where he'd been listening. Because Daniel isn't dead. Richard's face went white. That's impossible. He's been dead for 5 years. I saw the police reports. You saw what we wanted you to see, Thomas said. Daniel's alive, Richard. He's been alive this whole time. Living in hiding because you threatened to kill his family. And now we have everything. All the evidence. Every transfer. Every shell company. Every partner you worked with. It's over. They put handcuffs on Richard. As they let him out, he looked at me with pure hatred. You betrayed your own brother. No, I said. You betrayed your own nephew. You betrayed your whole family. For money. I gave you everything, Richard shouted. After Dad died, you got the house, you got the business connections, you got everything. I had to fight for every scrap. I deserved that money. You didn't deserve anything. And you're going to spend the next 20 years in prison thinking about that. They took him away. 3 days later, Thomas and I drove to Vancouver. The FBI had wrapped up their investigation. Richard's partners had been arrested. The money was being recovered. And Daniel could come home. We found him at a small cottage on the outskirts of the city. Thomas had called ahead, told him we were coming. When I got out of the car and saw him standing on the porch, I couldn't move. 5 years. 5 years since I'd seen my son alive. He looked older, thinner. The lines around his eyes were deeper. But he was alive. He was real. "Dad," he said, and his voice broke. I don't remember walking to him. Don't remember the steps between the car and the porch. But suddenly, I was holding him. My son, my Daniel, and he was holding me back. And we were both crying like children. "I'm sorry," he kept saying. "I'm so sorry. Mom, oh God, Mom." "I know," I whispered. "I know, son. It's okay. You're okay. That's all that matters now." We sat inside, and he told me everything. Every detail of the last 5 years. The terror when Richard threatened his family. The agony of staging his death. The pain of watching from afar as Sarah struggled. As the kids grew up without him. As Margaret died thinking her son was gone. He'd kept tabs on all of us through Thomas. Had photos of Lily and Jake at every birthday. Every school play. Every milestone he'd missed. "Sarah remarried," he said quietly. 6 months ago. A teacher at her school. Good guy, from what Thomas says. Treats the kids well. "She thought you were dead," I said. "She had to move on." "I know. I don't. I don't blame her. But the kids, Dad. Lily probably doesn't even remember me. And Jake." He put his face in his hands. "Jake was a baby. He has no idea who I am. We'll figure it out," I said. "Sarah's a good woman. She'll understand once she knows the truth. And the kids are resilient. They'll adjust. What matters is you're alive. You're safe. And you can come home." It took time. Lawyers had to sort through the legal mess of a man who'd been declared dead coming back to life. The FBI needed Daniel's testimony for the trial. And Sarah needed time to process everything. I was there when Daniel went to see her. 8 months after that day in the basement. 8 months after everything changed. She was living in Spokane with her new husband, Mark. Thomas and I drove Daniel there on a Saturday morning. Sarah opened the door and nearly fainted. Mark caught her. The kids were in the living room, watching cartoons. When Lily saw her father, she screamed, not in fear, in recognition. She remembered, "Daddy," she whispered, then louder. "Daddy!" Jake just stared, confused, as his sister ran to Daniel and threw her arms around him. Sarah was crying. Mark had his arm around her, looking shell-shocked. I stood in the doorway with Thomas, watching my son hold his daughter for the first time in 5 years, watching him kneel down to look at his son who didn't remember him, watching him try to explain the unexplainable. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a fairy tale. Sarah was angry, hurt, confused. The kids were overwhelmed. There were tears and questions and so much pain that had to be worked through. But they were alive. They were together. And that was a start. Now it's Thanksgiving. Daniel's renting a small apartment in Seattle, working as a consultant, slowly rebuilding his life. He sees the kids every other weekend. Sarah's still married to Mark, and that's complicated. But she's letting Daniel be part of the kids' lives. That's something. I'm sitting at my dining room table, the one I'd almost sold because it hurt too much to look at. But today it's full. Daniel's here. Sarah brought the kids. Thomas came, because he's become family too. Even some folks from the community center stopped by. Lily's telling me about school. Jake's asking Daniel to help him with a Lego set. Sarah's in the kitchen making pie with Mrs. Chen. The house that was too big and too empty is full of voices and laughter and life. I look at my son, and he catches my eye and smiles. A real smile. The first genuine smile I've seen from him in 5 years. Margaret should be here. That thought hits me hard, and I have to look away for a moment. She should be here to see this. To see our son alive. To hold her grandchildren. To know that it all worked out in the end. But maybe, somehow, she knows. Maybe she can see us now. See her family together again. See that the nightmare is finally over. I'd like to think so. Grandpa? Lily tugs on my sleeve. Are you okay? I wipe my eyes and pull her into a hug. Yeah, sweetheart. I'm more than okay. I'm perfect. Because my son is alive. My family is healing. And after 5 years of darkness, there's finally light again. Richard's trial starts next month. He'll go to prison for a long time. Part of me should feel bad about that. He's my brother. But when I think about what he did, what he took from us, what he forced Daniel to do, I don't feel bad. I feel justice. Daniel catches me looking at him and raises his glass. I raise mine back. We don't need to say anything. He knows what I'm thinking. I know what he's thinking. We made it. Against all odds, through all the pain, we made it to the other side. And that's all that matters. Thomas is telling some story about his college days, making everyone laugh. Jake is falling asleep against Daniel's shoulder. Lily is helping Sarah carry plates to the kitchen. The house is warm and full and alive. This is what Margaret would have wanted. This is what she died hoping for, even if she never got to see it. So I raise my glass one more time, silently, to my wife, to her faith that somehow, some way, things would be okay. She was right. And then I look around my table, at my family, at my son who came back from the dead, at my grandchildren who are learning to know their father again, and I think, this is what it's all about. Not the house or the money or the career. Just this. Just family. Just love. Just holding on when everything tells you to let go. Just one more day together. That's all any of us really need.